What actually is soil? Honestly, I think most of us would say, oh, it's dirt. It's that stuff that you sweep out of the corners of your house and out of your car sometimes, and soil is just a big pile of dirt. Well, actually, it's a little more complicated than that, and thankfully, dirt is a mixture. It's a mixture of minerals, sort of like little bits of rock and stuff, of organic matter, which is pretty much like dead, once living stuff, with a few living little guys in here. Air, the soil needs air, we'll talk about that, and water. So, the minerals, or rocks. Rocks are actually just a mixture of minerals. And what we find is the soil is made out of about 50% minerals. Now, you've heard of sand and clay. Those actually aren't like specific names for minerals or anything. They're particle sizes. When we look at a soil, if we say it's a sandy soil, that means that anything, a particle of mineral that is either 2 millimeters down to 2/100ths of a millimeter. And silt is anything a little less than that, 2/100ths of a millimeter in size to 2/1000ths of a millimeter, like 0.002, right? Very small. And then clay is anything smaller than 2/1000ths of a millimeter. So when we talk about a clay or a soil being sandy, we're just saying that it has a lot of the larger particles, those that are 2 millimeters down to 2/100ths of a millimeter. And we'll feel it. It's gritty, But when we get to a clay soil, that's pretty smooth because our fingers can't quite feel those tiny, tiny, tiny little particles of clay. And a loam is actually a mixture of these different classes. So some sand, some silt, some clay, all mixed together. So we have our mineral portion of the soil, but then we also have an organic matter, which, like we said, is mostly dead, once living stuff, i.e. dead plants, right? But also dead animals, stuff that comes out of the animals. It kind of gets yucky, but hey, life is yucky sometimes. And what happens is all of this organic matter, once living stuff, breaks down, decomposes. And slowly, the particles of this get smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, you might think, well, ew, like this is nasty. I don't want to put my finger in the soil anymore, But if that really didn't happen, we would not be here because everybody would just be laying around dead, but not broken down. You understand? So be glad decomposition is a thing. So when the plant dies, or animal, or person, we have chemical processes that start to happen, like oxidation, like the browning on your bananas or your apples or whatever. Plus, you have bacteria, you have insects that start chomping on this stuff. As they chomp, they sort of leave little bits, their crumbs laying around, or it gets incorporated into their bodies, or it gets passed through their bodies, like bug manure, right? So all of these little bits, whether left over, whether passing through their bodies, or eventually when they die and they decompose, gets mixed up with the mineral portion of the soil. And that actually creates a sort of like gluey, sort of like when you build a house, right? You have your bricks or your concrete block, and you have your mortar. So the bricks and concrete block would be like your minerals, right? And then the mortar would be the sticky stuff that's created by the decomposition of organic matter. And that creates something strong enough that you can actually build a house on. Soil. The mineral portion we said is about 50%, I'll just say 45. And then the organic matter, usually around 5, less than 5, up to 10% of the total soil volume. But there are some living parts of that organic matter, so insects, fungi, bacteria, actinomycetes. Those make up of that 5%, maybe 1 to like 8% of that 5%. So very small portion. The majority is dead once living stuff. The last two portions of the soil are water, right? Plants need water, they drink, they take it up through their leaves, it evaporates, it drives things, and plants need air. So the roots, they're the portion that take up the water from the soil, but roots need oxygen. I mean, how many times have you gone to the beach and looked out across the ocean and be like, hey, look at that beautiful cornfield right out there? Zero. Never. Because plant roots need oxygen. Now there's algae and there's things that grow in the ocean and they have specific ways of garnering that oxygen, but in the soil, terrestrial plants, they will need enough space in the soil for the gases, the oxygen in the air, to diffuse into the soil and to reach the plant roots and to reach the insects and the little microorganisms as well, because they need to breathe. So they'll take in oxygen and respire carbon dioxide. Now, in summary, the volume of the soil is ideally around 45% mineral, 5% organic matter, 25% water, and 25% air. So the rule of thumb, if you look at a soil and say good soil, not good soil, that's kind of what we're looking for. Now, that explains what soil is, but it doesn't explain how does it actually work. How do roots get all those elements that we need for plant growth? So we'll think about that next time.